What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Coming at you with yet again another perfume experience. And for today, I have none other than Electimuss Octavian. Let's see if I can manage to get the camera to focus for you guys today. And hopeless. Okay. So, what we will be doing is going through the description off of Electimuss's website, then going over the notes, and I will carry a perfume experience with you guys. So, we will get started shortly with this presentation, but before we get started, make sure to grab your favorite snack, your favorite bevy, or as in my case, cafe, which is piping hot, so I will not be presenting at this moment, and sit back, relax, and enjoy the awesomeness heading your way. All right. Okay, so Electimuss London Octavian by Christian Provenzano. Okay, so that's the perfumer. This bold and spicy oud rose is a powerful, rich statement scent befitting an emperor. This blend is bold, daring, and refined. Saffron, pink pepper, and incense create a strong oriental tone, and the smoky amber and rich velvety Bulgarian rose heart color the powerful Iranian oud and leathery base. Right, so the inspiration. Octavian, Emperor Augustus, first emperor of the Roman Empire and Caesar's chosen son and heir. He oversaw the greatest expansion of the Roman Empire across the Silk Road through East and West Europe, Iran, or Iran, depending on how you want to pronounce it, Persia. They're literally the same thing. What? Egypt and into China. Okay, well, that's confusing there, isn't it? His reign oversaw a time of great wealth, alliances, peace, and success. All right, I'm a bit iffy on the historicals here. They don't make sense in terms of the namings, but okay. Bulgarian rose, Persian incense, Iranian oud, and spices from the east combined to create the fragrance of an empire. I found Rome a city of bricks and left it a city of marble. Emperor Augustus. Yeah, so take that description with a grain of salt, especially the historical aspect, because they already got in. Persia is the old name of Iran or Iran, depending on how you pronounce it. So I'm not sure why. Anyways, they are British after all, so. God, this is so bad. Like, at least if you're gonna try to put a description that has a historical accuracy, like, get your facts right. Alright, anyways, the spicy top has saffron and pink pepper. The dark rose incense heart has Taif rose, attar of roses, and olibanum. The resinous woody base has amber and oud. Okay, so very Middle Eastern profile. Okay, and looking at this, I do not see any oud whatsoever in here. Like, it's not, yeah, this is super diluted. So even if there's oud in here, it's gonna be very, very weak, but we will find momentarily. Okay, so let's get started, you guys, with the perfume experience. Let's go ahead and do a spray. No, I don't think I've used this before. Okay, so I'm smelling this with you guys for the first time. All right, so right over here is the spray print. No grease whatsoever. Skin is already eating it up. It's pretty clear, so you don't have to worry about it staining your whites. Overall, no residue. Clean spray right over here. Okay. Alright, so let's get whiffing. Okay, so yes, there is Typhy Rose in there. You get a bit of that soft floral. You're getting that jamminess and citrusy quality to the rose in here, which is gonna be a factor of both the Typhy Rose and the rose mix they're using. Yes, incense is most certainly here. Saffron I get, and the reason I say there is because there's the spiciness, leatherness to this perfume. They say olibanum, which is basically gonna give the incense quality, and then amber and oud. Ambery, yes. Oud is very tough to pick on. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I can pick on it. So yeah, so this is very, very rose forward, you guys. The rose in here comes across a bit synthetic, okay? So just something to keep in mind. And there's more rose than there is anything else. The second note I'm picking on the most is the incense. The rose here also has a very lotiony quality to it. So you got lotion, jam, and citrus, as well as the just overall floral scent of a rose. I do like the rose here, but there's a sharp bite to it that I can't quite put my finger on, which makes it come across more as a synthetic rather than a natural. They do mention that other than the Typhy Rose, they use a rose blend, so God knows what's in that, okay? It's such a generic term that you can't really put down what's in it. Pink pepper, forgot about that. It is slightly peppery, and maybe that's why where the bite is coming from. So off of the get-go, I will say this is more of a British take on a traditional Middle Eastern oud rose perfume or scented oil. Okay. It is very British, and you know the signature sort of touch of British perfumery is this very powdery quality to the perfumes. All the British perfumes I've ever smelled tend to have this powdery quality to them, okay? Which is typically associated, at least in the UK, with luxury, elegance, refinement, class, regality, okay? I don't necessarily like it, which is why I've professed in other videos that while British perfumers put out good perfumes, they aren't necessarily my favorite perfume DNA, but still nonetheless, I'm not gonna take away from it just because it doesn't suit my nose. But this right here is a very British take on a Middle Eastern oud, rose, incense, saffron blend. The one thing I will say about this is that it feels a bit watered down compared to the Middle Eastern version. The other perfume that comes to mind that's not very similar to this but feels like a much stronger, more potent version is Frederick Malls The Night, because the night has saffron oud, it has rose in it, and it also has this powdery quality to it. But compared to this feels like a watered down version of the night, also, if you wish, if you wanted a reference from French perfumery. And it doesn't have that animalic quality that, to a certain extent, depending on the batch you get, the night does have. So just to give you different reference points as to what you can expect with this. So if you've experienced a traditional Middle Eastern oud, rose, saffron incense, perfume or oil blend, or French perfumery reference being Frederick Malle The Night, this is about 100 times to 1,000 times toned down. Okay, so just for reference and comparison. Now, does that mean that it is worse off or bad relative to these? No, not at all. It's just a different take on a very, very well-known and, you know, overly done, to be honest, composition of a traditional Middle Eastern scent. Okay, so think of it this way: it's just a different take on a traditional profile. In terms of preference, personally, you can't go wrong with the OG being the Middle Eastern. But if I had to pick a second place, it would be definitely Frederick Malle, and then this being the British perfumery being third. And again, this has more to do with my personal preference. It's not a reflection on the composition or the brand. Please do keep that in mind. I just need to emphasize this because I don't want you guys writing off a perfume or a brand off of the get-go just based off of my own preferences. This is just my experience with it, and again, it's relative to other perfume experiences I've had. Now, with that said, yeah, the rose in here is nice. It's really, really nice, but it seems a bit like muffled down, okay? Anyways, let's start talking performance. With this one, I'm gonna go ahead and say performance is medium to strong, with a leaning bias towards strong, because right now it is projecting strongly, and most certainly this perfume will leave a trail and a sillage wherever you go. It's just, I've only did one spray and it's already pretty potent. I'm picking on it. Now, it's not beast mode like, let's say again, a Middle Eastern composition, or like Frederick Malle's The Night, but it is strong enough where people will smell it off of you. You will leave a trail behind you wherever you walk, and it most certainly will linger in a room a while after you're gone. So I'm gonna give it, to be fair to it, a strong in terms of performance. Now, with respect to the seasonality for this is where it gets very interesting, okay? The seasonality for this, I'm gonna go ahead and say, it's versatile enough to wear across all seasons, which is not a typical recommendation of an oud rose composition, because traditional oud roses, be it Middle Eastern, or even if we go with Frederick Malle, The Night, they tend to be thick, they tend to be heavy. You don't really want to wear them in hot weather. You would rather wear them in cold weather, okay? But this one doesn't have the heaviness, the stickiness, the mugginess that comes with the high concentration of ouds and resins. Instead, it's very light and airy, which makes it versatile enough to wear across all seasons. This wouldn't choke you out in hot weather during summer or late spring, and it most certainly will perform well in fall and winter, just because it has the ambery facet to it, as well as the incense and the oud. Okay, so versatile enough to wear across all seasons. Now, with respect to time of day, I would recommend this for evening wear, just because of the notes in here. They're very rose forward, sensual, and powdery. And I find that these are better suited for evening wear versus morning. I personally wouldn't want to smell this in the morning. It'll just be like, whoa, you know, it would be a bit too much for my nose in the morning, especially during allergy season. So personally, I see this more as evening wear, something that you would wear just, you know, as you are changing your routine for the evening. Okay, now with respect to how you would dress this, this requires formality, you guys, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and say that you need to wear this on a formal attire, so a three-piece suit, you know, your bespoke shoes, your tie, your nice watch, your nice frames if you wear frames like myself. For the ladies, I'm gonna say, you know, dress to the teeth, formally, nice dress, nice jewelry. And yeah, so just make sure you're dressed well so you'll come across as smelling well. Now, with respect to the gender for this, now this obviously has been marketed in the description as it is for an emperor. It seems like it is masculine forward. I know on the website it's sold as unisex, but frankly this comes across as more feminine leaning, especially with the animalic sort of musky, muggy facet taken out or completely downtoned for this iteration. I would say it's very, very suitable for the ladies versus the men. It is very rose forward, and while the rose in here isn't overly feminine, I'm gonna go ahead and say still that this is better suited for the ladies. The gentlemen, you can still put this on because, like I said, the rose isn't very feminine leaning. There's the incense, there's the pepper in here, so quite a bit of masculine facets, but it just for me seems more suitable for the ladies. It does have a feminine bias to it, so just something to keep in mind. Now, context wise, where would you wear this? I'm gonna go ahead and say, again, formal settings, okay? Or settings where you want to do something where you are perceived as high class or high end. So let's say, because we did determine that this is better suited for the ladies, let's say that you know, if you're a lady and you're heading out to a spa day with your girlfriends, okay? You're doing everything from the masks, the mani, the patti, the massage, and God knows what else goes. That's about as far as my knowledge of women's spa days goes. But if you're going to a high-end spot, this is a kind of scent you want to wear to a location like that. If you are going out to catch up with your girlfriends over cocktails and dinner, this is a scent to put on. If you're going to the gym or Pilates, I don't recommend this. You don't like, it's just not congruent with the setting. It's more of an elegant, refined scent that you would put it on to complement your presentation in any formal setting or context. Okay? So, with that said, would I recommend Octavian by Electimuss? 100% yes. Get your nose on it, get your wallet on it, cop it. You will not regret this one. Caveat being that if you have access to the traditional Middle Eastern composition from any of the Middle Eastern houses, or you can afford to splurge on Frederick Malls the night, I think you would prefer them over this, okay? Especially if you're into strong, potent scents like myself. If, on the other hand, you want that experience but very subtle without it being overblown but with good performance, then most certainly go directly to Octavian. You will not regret it. Like I said, they're all just different takes on a traditional scent profile. I just like my scent strong, and because I have the original Middle Eastern, and I have different variations, different productions from different houses, as well as French compositions, including The Night by Frederick Malle. I just find, for my own personal taste, they're a better fit. But I know for a fact that there will be people out there that will prefer this much, much more to the Night or any Middle Eastern production, just because this is going to have this sort of cleanliness to it, that refined edge, without any of the animalics or the aggressive forwardness of the other scents. Okay, so food for thought there, but otherwise fantastic, composition and take on a traditional profile, and very British in the way it is composed and in the scent profile projection. It's also something to keep in mind if you are a fan of British perfumery. With that said, you guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here. As per usual, very much appreciate your time and attention, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.